This podcast is intended for adults 18 years and older. It contains explicit language and sexual situations. All thoughts and opinions expressed are of our own and not of those of any specific group, employer, or individual, and is not intended to take as professional advice.
Welcome to the Foreplay Podcast. Join the journey, experiences, and sexual adventures of two high school sweethearts navigating through the swinging lifestyle as millennials. Come along for the ride. Dare to play?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Foreplay Podcast. This is Bella.
This is Jase.
Today's episode is a Foreplay Confessions.
These are my confessions.
No, they're not my confessions. They're not our confessions.
These are your confessions.
We haven't done this too many times. This is the second time we've done a confessions podcast.
I think it's our third confessions.
Oh, is it?
I think it's our third confessions.
Oh, nice.
Now.
If you want to contribute and you want to get something off of your chest or something that was on your chest and now you also want to get it off of your chest, does that make sense what I'm saying? I'm trying to make it innuendo.
If you want to share about what was on your chest.
Yeah. Or maybe it's a fantasy you've always wanted to try but haven't yet and you just want to let the world know but still be anonymous, go to foreplay.com/share and let us know so we can tell the world for you.
Yeah, it can be any story time that maybe is something special happen or something really sexy or just something you want to get off your chest that you had on your chest, like we said. So Bella also will be the one that is reading these because truthfully, when it comes to reading out loud, she's smoother than me. So
Yeah, it's not your strong suit.
Yeah, not my strong suit.
There's lots of things that aren't my strong suit. That is Jase's strong suit. But reading out loud, but you're great at reading in your head.
Yeah.
You are a fantastic reader.
Yeah.
His comprehension, way better than me.
Yeah, through the roof. But
Yeah. Okay, not that bad. But so I will be doing the reading. Okay. We have two confessions that are like a fantasies confession and then one story time confession.
Okay.
So we'll do a sandwich. We'll do the two short ones on each end.
Okay.
As the bread.
Sounds fun.
All right. And how this works is we read the confessions, we read the little fantasies, and then Jason and I just give our 2 cents and just give a little tidbit of what we think and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's just like a discussion about what's going on in them or maybe something we relate to or maybe it's a new fantasy for us or maybe it's something we've went through and our experience with it, just whatever. It's just kind of a free-flowing.
Open-ended, yeah.
It's just fun. All right, so why don't you go ahead and read the first part of the sandwich, the upper bun, if you will.
Okay. There's a couple we've become really close to, and now me and my husband can't stop thinking about how much we'd love to have an experience with them. We met years ago, and we established that we all felt more like platonic friends, but over the last year or so, me and my husband's feelings have changed, and we're really into the idea of playing with them. The idea has become even hotter to us, because now we feel like they're a taboo that we're not supposed to have. We have no clue if we want to tell them or not, but just writing this email has helped. At least saying it out loud, sort of, to someone makes it feel like maybe it could happen someday. If we ever decide to go for it, we'll write back and let you know how it went. Your sexy Aussie friends, B and R.
Oh, that's fun. Should I try to read it in an accent?
Yeah.
It's an Australian accent.
Oh, no.
Okay, let me see. All right, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Take
Maybe
too
the
long.
first 2 sentences.
Okay.
Are you going to get roasted? I'm sorry in advance, Aussie friends. All of our Aussie listeners.
I am not saying this is going to be a great Australian accent. I just feel like it'd be fun. As soon as they said Aussie friends, I'd like this would be fun. Shout out to Sydney. He's one of my favorite cities in the entire world. Okay, here we go. There's a couple we've been really close to, and now me and my husband can't stop thinking about them. How much we'd love to have an experience with them. We met years ago.
The fact that
It's
like from the wife's... You know, like she's the one writing
Sorry,
it.
I can't
sound
do it.
Like
I only got
nasally old man.
I only got one chance. We met years ago and established that we felt more like platonic friends. But now over the last year or so, me and my husband's feelings have changed.
Oh, goodness.
That was pretty bad.
I feel like you actually usually have a better Australian accent than that. Maybe it's because you're
I'm
reading. Because you
yeah.
have to multitask, and that's
Yeah.
not the easiest to do.
No.
But when you're naturally...
It was fun, though, regardless.
You have a great British accent.
Yeah, so maybe if we ever get a British one, I can do that one instead.
Do you think that maybe it's because you have British blood in you? It just comes naturally?
It could
maybe?
be. It could be, maybe. I don't have Australian blood in me, so that's probably why that one was bad. So sorry to
Have
all
you
the
been in an
Australians.
Australian?
Unfortunately,
I don't
no.
think so. Yeah.
I would love to go down under, though.
Wait. No. She's British.
So sorry to all the Australians out there, but that was from a place of love because Australia actually is maybe my favorite accent in the world.
Australian
Yeah,
accents.
Australian accents, yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah.
I love Australian
Yeah.
accents. We went on a cruise through Australia, like a vanilla cruise, a couple years ago, and it was so fun just being surrounded by Aussies everywhere. You guys are so nice.
Yeah.
You're like the nicest people ever.
Yeah.
And Sydney is one of my favorite cities I've ever visited. Everyone is so nice. It's so fun.
I agree.
If it wasn't so far, I wish like we could live there.
I could live in Sydney and be extremely
Very
happy.
happy.
If I wasn't living where, like, in the U.S., I think living in Sydney is the place I'd be the happiest.
Same.
Anyway, so back to the confession. Now that we just went on an Australia rant.
Not rant, tangent.
Tangent.
It
Yeah.
was a love, right?
yes.
Can rants be like a loving rant, or is
Yeah.
a rant automatically negative connotation? I feel like rants are negative most of the time, right?
No, I think you can rant about something you love. That's what I just
Okay.
did.
I don't think it was a rant. I think it was going off on a tangent about our
know.
love for Australia. But
Anyway.
so BNR, thank you so much for your confession.
This is an interesting one. We have friends that I know that I find attractive, very attractive, and there is people we've stated this with, but there's also people that we've never stated this with, but it feels like we all feel the same way, the platonic friends. And I can only imagine that if those feelings like change suddenly, I was like, you know what? Like maybe they did something. You're like, oh, this is for whatever reason. Like now I'm really into them. I do feel like it'd be kind of a tough situation, but you can correct me if you're wrong. I feel like if there was that couple that we were really platonic friends, and we became like, hey, we're interested. I feel like I might say, you know, we have this feeling. Have you guys feel the same way? Because you're honest at the beginning of the friendship, so we're not continue to be honest.
I think that there's a chance that could go awry. It almost feels like, you know, when the friendship is so good with vanilla friends and you just like don't know, and it's like you don't know if you wanted to even just risk it, and then it can become awkward because if they're still thinking that it's platonic, but then you don't, and then you, of course you just want to ask, right? Of course, like communication is the best thing to do, but at the same time, I feel like it would, if it was me, like I would want to gauge to see if there was any kind of shift in sexual tension of some sort.
Like, how would you gauge that? Like, what would be your...
I think purposefully like saying something flirty, like here or there, or purposefully like being like a little bit more like me doing that to see if I'm getting any kind of the same vibe back. Because with our platonic friends, like a platonic lifestyle of friends, because those are different than just vanilla friends, but I feel like we don't usually ever have anything like super well. Okay,
No, see,
actually,
because I'm saying there's one couple that I feel like we just know that all of us just have never really like...
I don't think that we're platonic with them though.
But I
Like
feel
that's
like...
not platonic friends. We like when we're dancing with them like that, and sometimes we make out. That's not platonic lifestyle friends. You're talking about.
But there's never been like a thing that... I feel like there's never like a thing that we would really go beyond making out together.
But like it's not like we wouldn't, and it doesn't feel taboo if we did. It just happens to not. I think that's like
true.
a completely different situation.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't even call that a situation. But I'm talking about like friends who we just like wouldn't ever, like, you know, like we have.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's one of those things, I think it's a risk versus reward. I think it's the
Yeah.
same thing of whenever you go to telling vanilla friends and wanting to introduce this part of your life to vanilla friends, and you realize that like doing this could possibly damage the friendship or make something awkward or make something uncomfortable and it never be the same again. But at the same time, if you never say anything, maybe you never feel like as authentic in that one specific dynamic, or maybe they feel the same way, and it could be this thing that your friendship was already so great, and now your friendship is like even to the next level, right? So I think that it's one of those things. It's a risk versus reward. Is it worth it? And also, what does it feel like being around them? Does it change how you feel in the sense of we don't just feel that it's not as fun anymore because now we feel like we have feelings towards them, but we have to hold those back. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So does your whole feeling around them change? In the sense of you can't...
To me, like I think when it's casual, at least in for me in lifestyle friendships and stuff, I don't think that it's ever to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, I just have to have this person. I just want to fuck them so bad that it's going to change how I feel about them. Like, to me, I would prefer to keep it great friendship. And then, another thing maybe is like, because we've had this happen somewhat kind of similar to this. So say there's a couple that you don't really know if the compatibility of sex is there, right? But you're in a group play situation where there's a lot of all kinds of play happening, and then you can it's a different, I guess, atmosphere at that point, so you can kind of gauge a little bit there. Not saying like go fuck them right then, but at least like if it sounds like you're close enough friends that you see them pretty often, you're probably running around in the same circle. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you just need to gauge it and just see if there's any kind of shift towards a more play dynamic.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I want to clarify what I was saying is I agree with you on the sense of it's not like you need to fuck somebody so bad. What I'm saying is if you used to just have this platonic friendship and, maybe you made these sexual jokes or whatever, but everyone knew it was off the table, so there is no any sort of feeling there. I'm just wondering if now your feelings completely changed. Now when you make those jokes or when you're having those conversations, does it just feel uncomfortable in a sense because you're like, well, I can't make these jokes anymore because now I actually feel this way. I want them to feel uncomfortable, and you get in your head. I wonder if that could be a feeling.
Oh, maybe.
That's what I'm saying by that. But I don't know. So yeah, I think it's a risk versus reward, and I think that Bella's right about gauging it. Because I do think, to me, actually, when I really think about it, probably at the end of the day, I would rather just have them as friends than try to make something uncomfortable. But I don't think an actual flirty word or something like that they respond well to doesn't mean you couldn't go for it.
And go for it isn't asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in
so
actually start flirting or maybe say how you feel or whatever it is. I also do understand the thought though of that now that it's taboo, it's even sexier, because I know there was a couple that we didn't. This was in one of our recent experiences that we haven't even posted the story time about, but we didn't know if they actually played because we had met them and we were like, oh, they're they come on these cruises and stuff, but they're not really lifestyle, we don't think, from our understanding. And then we end up having the experience and we didn't even know that they really played, and it just kind of fell that way.
That doesn't seem taboo to me, though. That just seems unexpected.
No, but I'm saying I do think that I was attracted to those people, and I think that the thought of not, you're oh, you're probably never gonna do stuff with them. There is something sexy. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Not that it's taboo, but it's just I
can see where you're coming from. I don't personally feel that way with that, but I can see where somebody would find that sexy.
Yeah, it's just it's not I think it's just the unexpected, oh, I really like this person. I find them attractive. They're fun to be around. They're not really lifestyle, so I know we're never going to do anything. And that's just kind of the end of the thought. So then whenever it ends up happening, you're like, oh, well, that was fun because I never...
feels like that just is more unexpected. It's not.
Yeah, so I guess it's taboo. I guess it's
that's
different.
Off limits almost in a way.
I guess that's true.
So when it's
so I guess that's a different situation.
Yeah. Let's move on to the second one. The second confession is.
We said we were going with the flow
time.
here. We're just going with the flow.
We're just talking. This is what Jason and I would do if we just happened to hear this. Like if somebody told us this. Or not if somebody told us this, but if we read it somewhere and I would bring it up or he would bring it up and that's how we would just talk about it.
Yeah, that
Just
literally
be
would be
like,
the exact conversation that we had.
This podcast is brought to you by us, Bella and Jase. If you're going on a vacation or maybe you have a gift that you want to give your other lifestyle friends and you're looking for lifestyle clothing, we have the best apparel on the market for you. We have not only clothing, bikinis, swimsuits, we have backpacks, tumblers, cups, anything that you can name, we probably have it. You can find that at foreplay.com/shop.
Let's say you're at a party, you're going on vacation, things are moving a little bit slow. Maybe you want some conversation to flow. Maybe you want to move stuff towards play. Well, we have the perfect game for you. It's called Foreplay the Game. It is a digital and physical lifestyle icebreaker game, and you can find out all about it at foreplay.com/games. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com/games.
If you don't have a lifestyle vacation planned, a resort or a cruise planned, why not? You can join us. You can find that at foreplay.com/playcation. We have not only information about the events and trips that we'll be on this year, but also other options for you as well. And it doesn't cost any extra for you to book through our links, but helps us a lot, helps us continue to be able to make this type of content for you. Now back to the show.
Okay, so the second Storytime confession is, hey guys, I'm writing this in because I want to share a confession from a recent play session that me and my wife were a part of. I know in some of your other confession podcasts, you talk about how even negative confessions could help and be good because it could possibly help someone else along in their journey. So we had an amazing foursome with this really great couple we met from SDC. Let's call them Sam and Mary. We met for drinks and the conversation flowed so easily. My wife and I had a special signal we were going to do if we were both feeling the same way and wanted to invite them back to our place. We were going to squeeze each other's legs 5 times in a row under the table, and if the other person responded by doing the same thing, we knew we were good to ask if they wanted to come back. Around 2 hours in, I got the leg squeeze from my wife, and I did the same thing back to her. We invited them back to our place, and they said yes. We were all pretty horny, so when we got back to our place, everything started happening pretty quickly. My wife and I started making out while Sam and Mary did the same. We swapped, and both ladies were giving me and Sam head. It was all so hot. The rest of our clothes came off, and we were fucking each other and swapping, and things were going great. After a while of this, I heard Sam say to my wife that she's going to make him come soon. My wife and I had talked about one of her fantasies was another guy coming on her while I watched. In my head, it sounded hot, so when he said that, my wife and I looked at each other and I said he should come on her. I could see how excited she was. Me and Sam's wife watched as my wife gave him a blowjob, and when he was about to come, he pulled out and came all over her face. I wasn't expecting it, but in the moment, a hint of jealousy came over me. No pun intended. Haha. At this point, we were all basically done. So we had some small talk for a short while, and then Sam and Mary left. I knew I didn't want to hide this emotion, so I told my partner how I was feeling. I was kind of nervous to bring it up because it is something we talked about before and said it would be okay, and it was my idea for him to come on her anyway. She was totally accepting, and we didn't have a fight or anything. We talked about how when I fantasized about it, I thought it sounded so sexy, but when it was actually happening, I felt jealous for some reason. We talked through why I was feeling this way because I usually don't feel jealous in lifestyle situations. After really discussing it, it turns out it was just something new we'd never tried before, and in that moment, I felt something. Since I've been the only one to ever do that with her, seeing someone else do that evoked something in me. After really thinking about it though, it didn't really bother me, and I really did think it was hot. We decided we're going to still wait a bit before having someone come on her again to just give me space to feel my emotions and make sure they're solid before taking that step again. Anyway, the point of writing this is to hopefully help someone who has felt something like this to realize they're not alone and that sometimes these feelings happen. Also to let them know you can talk through these things and not put blame on anyone and move forward and still have a great time in the lifestyle. Thanks for the podcast. Love what you guys do. P and K. Great. Story time, confession, helping little thingy.
I've always said that people should write in negative ones they have one because they can be helpful. And I think that this to me
and that was like a negative that turned into a positive too.
Yeah. Also, just very commendable to them. I mean, I feel like that is, to me, textbook, the best way that you could handle a situation like that. I feel like you went through all of the steps to actually be able to handle it in a safe, good way where you move forward.
Yeah, it was very healthy. You talked about why, you figured out why. Each understood how it could have a feeling that you weren't expecting, because there's a lot of emotions that come up and a lot of things that you're not expecting when you enter into the lifestyle, especially all of this is like uncharted territory, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and the fact that he said, normally in lifestyle experiences, I don't get jealous.
and they had talked about it before too.
Yeah.
And they had even come up with a hypothetical situation that, oh, okay, well, this does sound hot. I want to see that happen. And then sometimes what you think and what actually happens turns out differently than what you were expecting, and that's okay as long as you guys talk about it, and don't hide it and like keep it in, because imagine if he didn't say anything and then she doesn't know that it affected him negatively in any way, and then it happens again because they didn't talk about it, and then like how different of a conflict and situation that could have been.
Yeah. Also, the fact that sometimes you can have feelings in the moment that aren't even exactly how you feel, right? It can be something new that happens, and seeing something new can just be shocking, right? And this is maybe a bad example of it, but you can try a food that's different, for example. And when you first try it, you're like, I don't really like that. And then you think about it later and you know what? Oh, that wasn't that bad. Maybe it just was like something I'd never experienced before. Because that's like, it sounds like the way he talked about it, when he really got down to it, he wasn't jealous of somebody coming on her. He liked it. But in the moment, it was something new and he felt an emotion. Mm-hmm. And that's a perfectly valid thing to do, because it could be the same thing of your very first time in a lifestyle place and you want to see your partner make out with someone and it sounds so hot to you, and they make out with somebody and you've never seen it and it feels shocking and it feels new. And I think that when you get something shocking that happens or something completely new, I think our body always wants to go into this safe space. So it's like, that must be bad. I have to protect it. But until you have the time to really process really how you felt about it, you might realize that's not actually how I felt. I was just feeling shocked or scared or nervous for a second. But in this situation, it wasn't warranted, right? It just was how they felt in the moment, and they're able to discuss that. I also think that it's really smart that even though he said, hey, this happened, and I actually don't think it's bad, we're still waiting so I have time to process those emotions and make sure I fully feel them. I think that's also really good, because it's not like he's just taking the 2 seconds to think about, like, oh, never mind, I'm good again. But to take the time and work their way back up to that step again, if they're going to do that.
Yeah, sometimes things like this happen and you have maybe this isn't the only conversation they're going to have about this. And that's normal too, to do, to continuously have conversations. Sometimes it's multiple times over the same exact thing. And there's a lot of patience and learning and understanding that goes with being in the lifestyle and exploring consensual non-monogamy. Mm-hmm. So I commend you guys for all of that.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I want to mention I think is really great that they did, that's great for maybe people that are newer, maybe people who just have never done this. Me and Bella are really big advocates for the thing of having signals and having ways to check in. And so I love that they had the 5 leg squeeze. I know we've done things where we tapped each other in certain ways, because if you want to communicate something like that, it can be kind of awkward when a couple's sitting across from you, but you want to make sure that you're on the same page. So I think it's really smart that before they went into the date, they're both in the mindset of, hey, if this feels comfortable, we'd like to play with somebody, but how do we communicate that and make sure that we're both on the same page? So I love that they did the lead squeeze and reciprocated it, so everybody knew that we're all on the same page here without having to try to whisper under their breath or text each other or do something.
Yeah, try to go to the bathroom at the same time.
Yeah.
I will say, though, so Jase and I actually had something like very similar to this. It was like a few taps, or 3 or 4 taps or something on the leg to notify each other of something. And Jase actually forgot what that meant.
I think that it wasn't something consistent enough, and I thought that you were tapping me a couple times to get my attention.
I know, that's
why
what
I think like 5 leg squeezes to me is really good, because it couldn't be misinterpreted. If mine was, we were a couple taps, right?
It was like 3 taps. And so, yeah, so don't do taps. Do something that's like actually different to something that you'd actually do normally for each other. But then also, I think to make sure to remind each other that at the beginning of the night or something. Because if it isn't something that happens often, then it could not be the best. Because then it made it very awkward for us whenever that happened to us. Because I tapped him and then he just kind of looked over and was like, what? Like, not like in like a very rude way, but he was like, oh, like, what did you need? And then I was like, well, you know, I was caught by surprise. I was like, well, he's supposed to know. And I was like, oh, like, never mind. And then...
Yeah, so
and it wasn't having to do with like, oh, we wanted to play with them. It was like something else. So
yeah, and that's my fault for not thinking about it. But it's also looking back at it. I think our signal wasn't a good signal because obviously tapping someone a couple times is how you get someone's attention. And so yes, my fault for not remembering. But also, I said I like that they did something like a leg squeeze 5 times because that's something that doesn't accidentally happen in life. And so whatever it is you come up with, I definitely agree with Bella. Make sure it's not something that could be interpreted as something you do day to day, and make sure you're both thinking about going into that. But something really obvious, I feel like, is a better way to go about it.
I think even like starting it first with maybe, so it's not so, because I'm thinking about a leg squeeze, right? An automatic leg squeeze could also kind of be startling. Because the one thing you don't want is for your other partner to be like, oh my gosh, like what? And then it creates a really awkward awkward little thing happening with everybody there. So it's like maybe I'm just talking about like something that we could do. So if this is working for you guys, like that's fantastic. I'm just saying for us, like if we were to do that, maybe we do like not smooth on the leg, but like feel the leg a little bit, like a little like love rub, yes, rub, and then the squeeze,
and then
that would work
squeezes
for us.
Yeah, but it has to be something like distinct, like 5 times squeezing after a leg rub to me is very distinct, and it couldn't even be because at first if you're like kind of rub someone's leg and like squeeze it once or twice, it could be like, oh, I just love you, because I do that too sometimes.
Yeah,
but I feel like 5 times in a row it's like, what the fuck? And you're like, oh, I remember this. So
we can't. That's what I'm saying. It can't be I remember.
No, I'm saying in your brain, in your brain, you'd say, "Oh, this isn't just her loving me. This is the next step of that." You know?
Because I'm loving you, and in addition, also, this is something that we talked about.
Yeah, but great job, guys. Very commendable. I think that's a wonderful way to handle that situation, and I think I would be very proud if we went through a situation like that and handled it just like that. So.
Yes, perfect. Last
the
one.
bottom bun?
Yes, the bottom of the sandwich.
The butt of the sandwich.
The butt of the sandwich?
My parents called it that when the bread was at the ends of the loaves of bread. I don't know if that's like
a
country thing or, you call it the butt as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do people, what's another way to call it? The end?
The end piece?
Hey, this is kind of funny.
The complete crust piece?
I like the crust piece. It'll be left over, and then at the very end, I'll just make a sandwich with both butt pieces.
I'm not a waster very much, but I throw away both of those every time.
At least you leave it there unless I'm going to eat it.
I actually always leave 2 because maybe it's wild, but I will leave the butt piece or the crust piece or whatever. I'll leave it in the bag and reach for the 2 pieces next to it. So when I get down, there's only 2 left, and it's the top of the bottom, and I throw those 2 away.
Why do we do that? Is that a universal human thing that we all do, or is that just something that you and I do? No,
I don't know. In my head, I feel like it would seal in the bread.
That is not why. I do it because at the end, I would eat that. Or what if you are really wanting a sandwich, and then that was the only pieces of bread left, but you really wanted a sandwich?
I would literally
eat wouldn't you be sad? You would just eat the ingredients, you just wouldn't eat the crust?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but in my head, I'm like, this locks in all the unstaleness, which I know is not true, but I think that's why I do it.
I didn't know. I literally didn't know that until just right this second. I had no idea about
I don't know if I did either. I think that's just maybe was my natural thought. Okay, read the butt of the last one.
The last confession is, I know this confession isn't long, but I've had this fantasy for the last 4 or 5 years, and I want to get it off my chest. The truth is, I haven't even told my partner about this fantasy. We're swingers and we go to larger group play parties quite often. They're usually private house parties. I'm a male and I've never been pegged before. My fantasy isn't just to be pegged though. I want to be pegged by my wife in the middle of a group play session. I want everyone to be around me and everyone watching. I want to see their reactions to me getting fucked in the ass for the first time. I don't know what it is, but something about everyone watching while I'm getting pegged just sounds so hot to me. And that's anonymous. I don't have any
Initials or
yeah,
anything?
initials or name or pseudonym or anything like that. Ooh,
That's
spicy.
a spicy one. Yeah, definitely. So I think the why this is hard for me to relate is because we are not exhibitionists at all. I do not like being watched.
We also
So-
don't like butt stuff that much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not like a big anal person, but
Neither
even
am I.
more so than that,
Yeah.
really the big thing here for me is the just being watched by a group of people. Now, if we're having an orgy or something and then, people take a break and then I'm still part of what's going on and people are looking over, and I think that's sexy just because it's all people that I'm, have been fucking and been in this group with, and people's kind of eyes are going everywhere. But just being the center of attention, I feel like makes me feel so nervous that I like lose all my sexiness because I feel nervous. But I can see why, if you're an exhibitionist, doing something that's new to you in the middle could maybe enhance that experience.
I think it's crazy that it's your first time and you want everyone else to experience your first time with you. That reading that, it made my heart go because it's so opposite for me. I want to, when I want to try something new, I want it to be in such a safe, not saying that being in a it wouldn't be safe for me. So that's what I mean by safe space, because if everybody's watching, to me that doesn't feel like a comforting safe space.
Yeah. It's
because
safe.
I don't like being watched by everybody.
Yeah. It's safe in the sense of
Safety.
you're
Yes.
in a safe community. No one's going to do anything or say anything. You feel safe like that. But I think you're saying the mental attitude of feeling you're in your comfort area, your safe space. Almost like you'd say your safe space could be laying in bed reading a book with the covers over. You feel safe and comforted
Yeah.
there. That kind of safe space.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So that part is so crazy to me. And I think that it's a very, it's very hot. It sounds very exciting. For me to be a part of that experience as being a watcher sounds really hot and exciting. So I can only imagine if you love being an exhibitionist and you want to experience something like that. And especially it sounds like if you're going to these private play parties, you probably know everybody too. I could see how that would be very, very exciting.
Yeah.
I think bring it up to your wife.
I think so too.
I mean, it might be a compromise. Maybe she won't want to do it for the first time in front of everybody, but maybe she will.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Lots of men like to get pegged.
Yeah, I think that. So I'm also not really a voyeur, but I will say that when you're in one of those, so I'm not the kind of person who likes to go into a playroom and just watch people, but I will say that whenever you're in the play time, when you're fucking and you're doing all that stuff, and then you look around, I feel like it is really sexy. I like voyeurism in that way, and so I also agree with you that I think it'd be really cool to be part of someone's first experience where everyone does kind of look at this one person that's going on. The people when maybe you'll be in the middle of a group play and then you'll hear just this noise and someone's squirting like crazy and
Yeah.
everyone just looks to that one area because it's so much attention is there. I think that's really sexy. So I can see why this person feels that way. It's just so crazy to me to know how different the human psychology works. And I know that there is so many people like this, where being that center of attention in a situation like this is such a turn on to them. And it's so crazy to think that people like me and you, it's so opposite. And I think the whole thing is very cool, hot, and fun. And I like the whole idea for this person. But the craziest thing to me is think about myself in that position. And I'm just I feel like I recluse and go in. But this is where someone would shine in an area. And I think that that's just really cool to think. And that's a cool thing about the lifestyle and cool things about you can go to a playroom and have everyone watch you and get that attention that is something that's sexy to you. Or if you don't like any eyes on you, you can go to a room and just be you and
Like
your partner, or
private
you
room.
and the other people you're with, and you can have the best of both worlds. And that's so cool. And that's just really interesting to me.
I wonder if this person wants everyone to know that it's also their first time. I wonder if that's a big part of that. So thank you so much for your confession. I love reading these. I think they are so fun. I loved hearing other people's stories and other people's fantasies, and I think it's really cool to share and to let other people know that fantasies and kinks are such like a wide spectrum, and it's okay to have these different fantasies, and other people probably have the same fantasies as you. So sometimes you might feel weird about feeling a certain way or about wanting to try a certain thing, but you don't have to. Just know that a lot of people also want the same thing. So thank you to everybody who is submitting their confessions and their story times. Thank you for sharing your experience so we can share your experience with other people to help other people on their own journey. And it's so fun.
I totally agree. I love that we got a negative one, or not a negative, but one that I guess would be perceived as negative, right? Compared to most are just the fantasies and the story times are just sexy. I like that we got one that I think is going to be that's very eye-opening in different ways. Like I like that they're all over the place, and these are always one of my favorite podcasts to record. I really enjoy hearing other people's experiences and what they go through and what they feel and what, like I said, what excites them compared to, like, it's just very interesting. And I think you're totally right in everything you said. I think that it brings a lot of light to feeling like you're not alone in this situation, or, oh, my kink, other people have that too. Or it's the same with the lifestyle, right? Once you realize how big this community is, it makes you feel so safe and feel like you're not some weird person who's alone and you're the only person who feels this way, because you're not.
Yeah.
You're just part of a very large community of so many people, because it's normal to be in the lifestyle or to have the kink that you have or whatever it is. It's normal. But seeing that you're not alone, I feel like helps normalize that feeling internally.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I think that's really cool. So that was really fun. So if you guys, once again, if you guys do want us to, read one of your confessions on one of these podcasts, we always love to get them submitted. You can submit those at foreplay.com/share, summer 4, OURPLAY.com/share. And yeah, really
And
fun.
that's share as in SHARE, not CHER. Just kidding.
That's true. That's true. Make sure you spell it correctly.
I'm joking. I don't think anybody's going to foreplay.com/share.
What if Cher's listening
Yeah.
and she wants to
Maybe.
share and she's like, oh yes, /me.
We'll just do a URL redirect.
Yeah, we'll change it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Bella and Jace's weekly obsessions. Why don't you go first? Oh,
Let's do a rock, paper, scissors. And then
Okay.
whoever wins goes first.
okay. On shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, my, 3 times in a row we got the same thing. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, my God, 4 times?
Yeah. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
We've
Yeah,
actually
that was
tied
5 times in a fucking row. Like, you can't.
Yeah, I'll play left-handed. Maybe I'll change it. I'm just kidding.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
No way.
It's the same again. Let's say it out loud.
Okay.
Wait, so we say rock, paper,
Paper,
scissors,
scissors,
then say
and
it?
then yeah. Okay.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors,
rock.
paper. Okay. So I
Okay.
win.
Number 7, our 7th time playing.
I promise.
I'm
we
leaving the
were.
whole
I
thing
know.
in there, so you guys got to hear us play rock paper scissors 7 times and go shoot. All right, why don't you go first? What are your obsessions?
My first obsession is, so we have some friends. I do a lot of crocheting, and lately a lot of my friends have been sending me different crochet projects to try, or they'll see something that is crochet or knit, and they're like, oh my gosh, you should do this. So a friend sent over one of a beanie. Somebody was wearing a beanie that kind of looked like it looked just like a boob. And it was a like skin color beanie, and then had a nipple at the top. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make that. And so I made my own kind of version, and I love it. It is my new obsession. I think they are so fun. I think it's so funny on the side. It looks so inconspicuous. And then you just put your head down, or like I'm so short, people will just see it from the top.
Yeah.
But it just looks like a boob.
It's really fun. I really like it.
And then having 2 of them, you have one and your partner has one
Yep, and then
right
we're a
next to each
set.
other. Yeah, a nice set. And then you can kind of like boing, boing, boing.
All right,
So
what's
that's
your
my
other
first
obsession?
one.
What's your other obsession? I do like it. It is really, really cool.
You can put a link to my like my Instagram reel
Okay.
or TikTok. Probably the reel.
Okay,
'cause that'll
I'll link
stay
it.
up
So if you
there.
guys want to see the boob beanie,
Yeah, you guys can go see it. I think I'm gonna make a pattern of how to, like, I'll make a video of how to do it on my YouTube channel, and you can find that at foreplay.com/Bella YouTube. That's gonna be the link that I will get people to go to, or you can just search "Hey Bella Luna" on YouTube. So, my second obsession is so we have a Ninja Creamy, and I have been making this just plain tart Ninja Creamy. Yeah. And it is so yummy. I put a lot of protein powder in there, so it is protein packed. It's almost like a cheat code. So it's just Greek yogurt, lemon juice or lime juice, monk fruit sweetener, and then plain whey protein powder. Mix that all up, put it in the freezer, and then stick it in the Ninja Creamy under frozen yogurt setting. And then sometimes you don't even need to remix. And it makes the most perfect frozen yogurt. Like, the texture is incredible, and it's like pure white and fluffy and sour, and it has a similar taste to Vietnamese yogurt, and it's so good. It is cold, so it hasn't been as fun to eat when it's like freezing outside, because I'll finish it and I'm like so cold, but then I can bundle up under my weighted blanket in my fuzzy Kuromi snuggie thingy. So it is fun. I think I'm craving it right now.
well, after we finish, I guess you can have it for lunch if you want.
Yeah, it's so loud though. Making it is so loud. We have to close the door and everything. What's yours?
I have two. One is Tate McRae put out a new single. At the time of recording this, her album actually comes out in like 8 days. So I can already guarantee you guys that's going to be an obsession in a future podcast will be the album. But she put out a new song called Sports Car. I love it. I love the music video. I love her. If you guys have listened to the podcast for a while, I'm sure you've heard me talk about her several times because I'm obsessed. My other one is we watched a movie. It was probably a few weeks ago now, actually, but I was thinking about it the last couple days and how much I liked it. It was called One of Them Days, and it's with Keke Palmer and SZA. And I don't know what genre of movie that is. What genre of movie
Just
is
comedy?
that? Yeah, just comedy. It's just funny. I think that those two, SZA and Keke Palmer together, have such a good energy and dynamic, and they're so funny, and they play off each other, and the movie was just good. It was just a good comedy. The story was good. It was funny. I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, that is my other obsession, and that's this podcast. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for all of you who submitted your submissions, and said anyone else who wants to submit them in the future, foreplay.com/share. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.
If you'd like to support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to our podcast. All our information will be listed in the show notes below and on our website, foreplay.com. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we make videos and vlogs about the swinging lifestyle. Head to foreplay.com/YouTube to watch and subscribe. We have the ultimate adult party game for the sexually inclined called Foreplay the Game that's both digital and physical. It's perfect for breaking the ice and spicing up any party. You can find more information at foreplay.com/games. We also have the best swinger lifestyle, kinky, and adult humor clothing and accessories that you can find at foreplay.com/shop. If you're looking to plan a lifestyle destination, booking through our links at foreplay.com/travel really helps support the show and helps us be able to continue to create this type of content for you. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and more. You can find all our current social media accounts at foreplay.com/socials, and I have an OnlyFans, which you can find at onlyfans.com/BellaLunaVIP. We also have a Facebook group and Discord community and would love for you to join us. You can find the direct links in the show notes below. Lastly, we're on STC and Cassidy at Foreplay, and you can get a free full membership trial by using our link. You can email us at hello@foreplay.com with any questions or comments, or head to foreplay.com/ask. Again, all our information will be listed in the show notes below, and we thank you so much for listening to our podcast. See you in the next one. Bye!